So, the interview process, using the STAR method and kind of, I think one of the things we talked about was how I can talk an awful lot and just kind of figuring out how to circle back in on the main points and focusing in on the key things that the interviewer wants to hear. And then the biggest thing for me was the business plan. I still have the one that I made the very first time I made a business or heard about a business plan, and the very first one I created and used in my application process. So if we were able to pull those up side by side, you could see the clear difference in how my business plan through Medical Sales U was versus the one that I made independently. And maybe that's to just say I didn't take the time, but there's definitely things that I would not have included if I had not have joined your program. So it brought a lot of clarity for me, and just being in a cohort of people who are all trying to achieve, who are all looking to, better themselves and, are happy to share in the accomplishments of everyone else in the group. We would see people get jobs and it was nothing but praise. And it's motivating, you see that and you're like, I really want to take the time to make sure that I can be that next person to get that as well. So,
well, you mentioned several things. I think one is we talked about the interview. We talked about the STAR, and a lot of people, most people listening, they know the STAR framework and the interviews, how we're supposed to talk about situation, task, the action steps, and then the results. So we practice it. I do remember, and I'm just amazed now, when you talk now, you're just confident, like you're calm, you're confident. I think early on, one of the things I talk about with our members is cadence. When we first interact on the phone, you were very energetic. This is what I do. I do this, and this, and this, and this. Right. This. You were so over the top. Yeah. It was too much. I said, that's good. But to some people hiring managers, it may come across as cocky. Right. If you can switch it up. And I say, calm down a little bit. Like I have that enthusiasm, but then be calm. Right. The cadence, the mixing it up so much. There's others in our program that are just so calm the whole time. I'm like, hey, you need to show some enthusiasm. You need to bring some life into this, show cadence. And I think that was one of the things that we practice. And just hearing you in the program, you got so good at balancing that cadence, mixing up that enthusiasm with, I'm DeVaughn Crawford, and I'm still working on it. Like I have bad habits with my speaking, and even my wife will listen to these podcasts and says, you keep saying the same thing over and over again. And even yesterday she critiqued me on something, but we need that. And I think that's the advantage of being part of a community, a cohort, as we practice, we sharpen each other up, we get better. Right. You have me as a coach to guide you, but then you have your teammates. And sometimes it's just like this last week, we had a guy who landed a job with Sanofi, right? He's making a base of like $200,000 and he's sharing insights to the rest of our team. And someone else joined who was with Medtronic. She took a leave and now she's wanting to reinvent herself, get into a new specialty. We help each other. Persistence though, even with all this, you got rejected. Even with networking, even with the community, what kept you going in this whole process to land this job?
Right. Definitely, like you said, persistence. It was nothing short of a learning curve. I can attribute it to a lot of different things, but, most importantly, you just got to have it in you. There is a level of confidence that you need to have to be successful in a field like this, whether it's med device or whether it's, pharma, being able to learn, also being a sponge. Yeah. You don't want to come in just being overly cocky or thinking you know how to do everything. You want to show that you're prepared and you can handle the challenges in front of you, but you also want to learn from the people who are already shortening the learning curve for you. With all those denials and not getting the job or not getting responses back, it hurt a little bit, but it never took me out of the game. Yeah. I knew that this was something that I was going to get into. It just took some time, but I would have, even if I didn't have it now, I still wouldn't have given up, no matter how many no's I've gotten. So like I said, it's just the process of understanding that it's going to be tough.
but if you stand up to it, you're going to get in. So just be persistent and, you know, network with people, connect with new people, you know, take as many notes and as much advice as you can from folks who are already in the industry, and even those who are trying to break in as well. You never know what you're going to learn from somebody.